we could literally,
complex. Yeah,
we
go
could
ahead.
literally, we could literally do this like for like 8 hours. I
I know,
promise.
I know. I don't want to keep you. I'm really, really grateful for your time. So let's please continue. Talk to us more
Yeah.
about Pusharo.
So, well, I'll say real quick. The
Yeah.
article is "Ancient Advanced Amazonia: The Sophisticated Savage," and that is about how the ancient Amazon was much more complex, organized, with larger population centers and cities than most people think.
I'll post links for all of this stuff on our Facebook page too, so people can find Scott Lite and all of the great work that he does. So thank you, Scott.
Great, thank you. So how did I hear about it? I heard about it through just my research online, but more so from talking to locals. When I would do ayahuasca with Don Alberto and other groups, I would before the ceremony and after the ceremony, you have conversation, and sometimes it's sort of casual conversation, but usually it's a bit more esoteric, or it's a bit more about what you're looking to learn from the ceremony, to do in the ceremony. But yeah, oftentimes it's about myths and legends, stories, archaeological sites, philosophical, mysterious topics. So that was some place that that Hinkyori, Pusharo, and various other petroglyphs and sacred sites, like the Harakambat face that is in the Amarakeri Reserve,
This is
is another one.
fascinating. Yeah, this is one that's really boggled my mind. I saw a picture of it, I think about 5 or 6 years ago, and
Yep.
it is a quite shocking piece of rock art. I don't know what you would call it. I mean, it's a, basically a face of what appears to be a person or some kind of, right. You go ahead and explain it, Scott. You know far more about it than I do.
Well, that one I don't know that much about. So I work more so with the Machinga people, more in depth. I know plenty of Harakambat people from the community of Shintuya, but that's a different reserve, sort of on the other side.
Okay.
Of the opposite side is Manu National Park. I really want to go there. You may have to have permits and stuff to go there. I'm not sure, but I'm going to see if I can get some permits and get some native people to take me there, because I noticed there's not that many great photos of it.
There's really not. There's a very few, and they're very repetitive. If you look at it online, it's almost all the same pictures, and it's only from one angle, so you don't really know what the other side looks like. And yeah, there's a lot of questions that I have about its validity. I mean, it very well could be a natural formation that they've kind of just patched on some moss to make it look like it. It could be Photoshop pictures too. I mean, in this day and time, who knows? That's another thing that you have to constantly remember.
Right. Yeah. So I really would. I don't know exactly where it is, and I'm not sure anybody really. Well, somebody does, but like, it may be the park guards, it may be the natives. I'm not. You definitely can't just go on like Google Maps and it shows it to you.
And you definitely can't just walk there yourself.
No, you can't. I would imagine it is a 5 to 10 day trek through the jungle. So we would probably need. I'm going to need native guides. I'll probably have to get permits that specify I have to go with one of the park guards to make sure we don't do anything wrong, which is great that they're protecting their archaeological sites. And then we'll probably have to have a couple like donkeys or mules or whatever carrying our stuff, and then we'll have backpacks. So that's definitely something I want to go do, photograph it. I know there are also ruins in the area. Why don't you, Jesse, tell us about Paititi real quick, since we're in that area?
So Paititi would be, this is the great lost city, correct? I mean, this is where many people believe. I honestly don't know a whole lot. I thought like Paititi was in the Abiso, right? The Gran Abiso is the name of the area.
Where's that?
I thought this is kind of up even closer towards Chachapoyas and up towards the north.
Right.
But I'm not even familiar that much with Gran Petiti, but apparently this is like the great lost city of the Amazon. I mean, this is this was the Cusco, so to speak, of the Amazon region and peoples. Go ahead, Scott, please.
So yeah, it's also, known, another name that the Spanish called it would have been El Dorado, the city of gold. And it was supposedly advanced civilization, but of Amazonian people. And supposedly the Incas knew about it, and that's where they ran off to take most of their gold and treasures to. Now, I have talked to various native people and also anthropologists. I hope Mr. Glenn Shepard won't mind me saying this. I don't think this is something I'm supposed to keep secret or anything like that. But Glenn Shepard told me that Paititi is a real place. He is an amazing anthropologist. His blog is notes from the ethnoground, and just amazing, amazing information on his blog. He is one of the few outsiders that is fluent in Machinga. I'd say there's probably, you could count on your hand how many non-Machinga are fluent in Machinga, and Glenn Shepard is one of them, along with a number of other languages, English, Spanish, Portuguese, and native languages. He is just prolific. He is an amazing person.
What did you say his name is? Glenn Shepard?
Glenn Shepard, yep. And his blog is Notes from the Ethnoground. Let me check. Notes.
Cool. Yeah, and I'll post a link on the Facebook page so people can look for it as well.
Yep, it's Notes from the Ethnoground.
Awesome.
Ethnoground.blogspot.com. So Glenn is an amazing person, and he told me that Paititi exists. Now, I can't remember exactly what he said, or perhaps he was being a little bit mysterious in his language. I can't remember if he said that. I believe he said Paititi is a real place that you could actually go to, but it's only for Machingas and native people because they don't wish to plunder it. And apparently there are guards at Paititi that guard the place, and many people who go there, it's sort of a paradise. What's the thing in Asia, Tibet, Shangri-La? It's like the Shangri-La of the Amazon.
So Scott, do you think there was a connection between these same people who were creating these petroglyphs and these places? Do you think they knew about Paititi? And we're talking about hundreds, if not thousands of kilometers in distance.
So yes, I mean, I do. I don't think it was, this is just my guess, my theories. Yeah. I don't think it was an overarching society that covered the entire Amazon, but I think there were probably these highly advanced cities in the Amazon that were connected by trade, connected by even by roads and highways. There's a place, I think it's called the Bini.
Yes, the Bini. Like yeah, the
yep.
Bini.
As they have been doing something bad, cattle farming, they're uncovering these great squares and lines and all these different things in the jungle that were ancient buildings and houses and roads, and some of them stretch for hundreds of kilometers. So that's what my article, the Ancient Advanced Amazonia, touches on. I actually need to update it because constantly new stuff is coming out about the Amazon. I mean, this is it's changing by the minute, you know, what we know about the Amazon, the ancient Amazon. But I'll give one interesting anecdote. There was this guy named Francisco de Orellana, and he was the first white person, European, whatever, to go down the Amazon. I think he came from over the mountains from Ecuador, down the Rio Napo, and then out the mouth of the Amazon. And then at the mouth of the Amazon, they built a boat and they sailed back to Spain. But while he was going down one portion of the Amazon, he reported seeing houses basically stretching as far as the eye could see, plumes of smoke over the horizon from the fires that these people are having, and literally tens of thousands of natives with spears and bow and arrows were on the side of the river, warning him not to stop.
Wow, what a sight that must have been.
100 years later, the next Europeans that were in the area, they reported that it was a broken civilization. I believe it had been ravaged by disease. We know some of the groups that got diseases from Europeans, up to 90 or 95% of them died. So I am guessing that is what happened to these Amazonian people. So in that 100-year span from when Francisco Orellana saw these healthy, gigantic, advanced civilizations, 100 years later, it was a broken, destroyed, disease-ravaged civilization. And that is where we get the idea that Amazonian peoples are nomadic, semi-agriculturalist that move around the forest and hunt. And certainly there were surely groups like that even in ancient times, but I believe we're missing a big part of the picture, not knowing about these cities that were in the Amazon, likely made of wood, which is why the only thing we have left is petroglyphs such as Pusharo and Hinkiori.
That is fascinating, Scott. Thank you so much. Tell me about your trip to Pusharo. Is it difficult to get there?
Yes. It is. So I've been a lot of places in Peru, Bolivia, and the United States. And Pusharo is by far the coolest place I have ever been in my life, hands down.
Really?
Yeah. So it's you leave out of Cusco and you go to the Valley of Cosnipata, Pilcopata, where Hinkiori is. So when we go to, I've only been once, but we often will stop. We stop there on the way, and we often stop there because it's much more accessible. Hinkiori is. Pusharo requires like an expedition to get to it. So you go to Pilcopata, you sleep there the first night. That's about 8 hours from Cusco. The next day you'll go down to about, what is it, five more hours down the road or so, 4 to 6 hours more to gosh, I can't remember the name of the Santa Cruz. There's a little town called Santa Cruz. In Santa Cruz, we switch from car to boat. We get in the boat, we go down the Alto Madre de Dios just a little ways, and then we take a left. If you're going with the flow of the river, we take a left and we go up the Rio Palatoa. And then you're going against the flow of water at that point. We go up that river for, gosh, I can't remember how many hours it was. I want to say 3 or 4, but I really can't remember. It may have been more than that, but I was just really excited. We then stop at a lodge. Now, this is inside Manu National Park. We had to get permits from the park to be able to do this. And we have to go with park guards and native guides, again, to make sure that we're respecting not only the petroglyphs and the archaeological sites, but that we are respecting the isolated native people that live there. So we then go to this lodge. The lodge is near the village of Palatoa Teparo, which is a Machinga village, an extremely isolated Machinga village. You will see, Machinga people there. Most of them have clothes and shirts and stuff like we do, but some of them are wearing the traditional tunics. The women have their, real thick bangs cut down just above their eyes. Some of them have their boobs hanging out, babies hanging off of them, nose rings made of gold that they find somewhere, but they won't tell you where exactly. And they hunt with bow and arrows, and they live, very typical of how people lived in ancient times, hunting and fishing and things like this. And like I said, they do have they got metal machetes, they got some metal pots, they trade for some things like salt, but mostly they are living in the ancient way that Amazonian peoples have lived for hundreds of years. So we stop there for the night and we stay in the lodge. The lodge is amazing. You would not believe how nice this lodge is in the middle of nowhere. I think Manu National Park is something like, it's like 1.5 million hectares, which a hectare's 4.4 acres. So I think it's like, I don't know. I would say it's much bigger than Rhode Island, but I don't know exactly. That's probably not an accurate. It's big.
It's big. Yeah.
Anyway,
we got you.
And it's one of the largest, most pristine chunks of jungle left on planet Earth, and it is debatable that it is the most biodiverse region on the planet. Anyway, so we stop at the lodge there in Palatoa Teparo. we often visit with the Machinga community there, seeing their traditional way of life, eating some traditional